Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a really big question. When we're trying so hard to build classrooms where every single child feels seen and valued, is a century-old educational method still enough? We're diving deep into diversity, equity, and inclusion, and seeing how it all connects with the Montessori method.
At the end of the day, it's all about the kids. The whole goal is to build a world inside the classroom that actually reflects and respects the vibrant, diverse world outside. It's about making sure that from day one, every child's unique identity isn't just tolerated, but truly celebrated as a strength. So, that brings us right to our big question. What does it actually take? It sounds pretty simple, right? But the answer is pushing educators everywhere to think in new and sometimes pretty challenging ways. And to find that answer, we've got to get on the same page about what inclusive really truly means. Okay, so before we can build anything, we have to make sure we're all working from the same blueprint. First things first, let's get the language right. And trust me, these aren't just buzzwords. They are the absolute foundation for creating real change. First up, we've got diversity. Now, this is about so much more than just checking a few boxes. It's the active recognition that all of our differences, our ethnicity, gender, religion, our abilities, aren't just things to put up with. They're meant to be known, respected, and even celebrated as the essential ingredients of a strong community. Next, we have equity, and this one is absolutely crucial. Equity is all about providing specific, tailored support to students based on what they uniquely need. The goal here is to level the playing field so that everyone has a genuine shot at success. And finally, there's inclusion. The word that really jumps out at me here is active. Inclusion isn't something that just happens. It's a constant, ongoing process of looking for and removing barriers, whether they're physical things or in the way we teach or even social. Anything that stops a kid from being able to fully participate. And this slide, this perfectly explains one of the biggest points of confusion. Equality means giving everyone the exact same thing. Think of it like giving everyone the same size shoe. But equity, which is what we're aiming for, is about fairness. It's about giving each person what they need to succeed. It's a small difference in words, but a huge difference in practice. All right, so now that we've got a solid handle on diversity, equity, and inclusion, how do we get these ideas out of our heads and into the classroom? Let's take a look at the blueprint for making this a reality. So, a huge trend right now is moving away from something called a tourist curriculum. You know what I'm talking about. It's when cultural awareness is just about superficial stuff, like having a taco day to represent Mexico or only talking about holidays. The real goal is to go way deeper, to weave cultural awareness and social justice right into the fabric of everyday learning. And here is a perfect example from an educator who's right there on the front lines. She says it's crucial that representation is done with respect. And what does that mean? Well, a lot of the time, it means inviting families from that culture to share their own traditions, instead of the teacher just trying to do a shallow imitation. Wow, her words here are just so powerful. Think about that. After more than 2 decades of teaching, she's admitting she feels uncomfortable with casual representations of cultures she doesn't know well. That just speaks volumes about the professional humility and the sense of responsibility it takes to do this work right. And this is why it matters so much. This isn't just about making people feel good. It's about building better humans. When you have a truly inclusive approach, it helps a child develop a positive identity. It fosters real empathy, and it promotes a sense of justice. Skills that are, let's face it, absolutely essential for navigating the world today. Okay, so this brings us to a really fascinating fork in the road. How do all these modern DEI principles fit in with a classic, well-established, century-old philosophy like Montessori? Is the original method on its own really enough? So first, let's do a quick refresher on what makes Montessori, well, Montessori, right? It's a whole system defined by these specific elements, right? The specially prepared environment, those unique materials, the long uninterrupted work periods, it's all built on this foundation of freedom and deep respect for the child. These core elements have been incredibly effective for over 100 years, no question. But here's the crucial question we have to ask today. Does just following that classic blueprint automatically create a truly inclusive, equitable, and anti-biased environment for every single child in our modern world? Now, to be fair, Montessori has always been about what's called an education for peace. The original curriculum naturally includes things like respectful interactions, peaceful conflict resolution, and studying global cultures. A lot of educators would argue that the classic approach already has this covered. But here's the catch. And Jean-René Janté puts it perfectly. It's one thing to have a curriculum that teaches respect. It's a whole other thing to deal with the less obvious elements. The reality is, we all carry around these unconscious biases from how we were raised, and overcoming those, that requires some very specific internal work from the adult in the room. And this, right here, this is the core of it all. The most important DEI work isn't about the curriculum on the shelf or the lesson plans. It actually starts with the teacher.
And get this, Maria Montessori herself said it best. She literally told teachers to be humble and root out the prejudices lurking in our heart. She knew even back then that the adult's own inner world could be the biggest obstacle to truly understanding a child. I mean, that's the whole foundation right there.
So what does this inner work actually look like in practice? Well, it's a systematic study of yourself. It means doing deep personal reflection, maybe through journaling. It means reading and studying the work of experts in DEI and anti-bias, anti-racism. And it means showing up for dedicated trainings and tough conversations with your peers. It's a real, active, ongoing commitment.
Realizing all this really forces us to ask a tough question about how we even measure the quality and integrity of an educational program today.
And honestly, here's something that might really surprise you. Even though this inner work is so fundamental to Montessori's whole idea of education for peace, this explicit focus on DEI and anti-bias work is not currently listed as a core component for judging a program's authenticity by the major Montessori organizations. So it all comes down to this one huge question. In a world that's more aware than ever about the need for equity, should a school's active, demonstrated commitment to DEI be a non-negotiable for deciding if it's truly practicing Montessori with integrity?
It really leaves us with this powerful final thought. Maybe the most important material in any classroom isn't something you can buy and put on a shelf. Maybe it's the teacher's own perspective, their humility, and their never-ending commitment to see and serve every single child for who they are. And maybe that is the true measure of integrity.